I want to welcome you guys here on Zoom and those of you who are on Facebook to this episode of the Portrait Profits Show, uplifting the San Antonio photography community. Today we're bringing you the something called Build Your Support Base, because we have a lot of supporters. We've got a lot of individual people and groups and organizations and things that really help us to become the person that we're supposed to be, the business owner we're supposed to be. But sometimes we don't do a good job of identifying them, because at those times when we need them most, it feels like we're kind of alone, kind of overwhelmed. But if we'll take a moment when we aren't feeling overwhelmed, like right now, hopefully you're not feeling overwhelmed, and you can write these things down, you can let your mind just download all this information, then you can identify your supporters, those things that are important to you, that make you stronger. And when you are in need of a support, of some type of support, you can go to this list that we're going to create today so that you can be uplifted at those times when you need it most. So thank you for being here today. I want to remind you, I think that most of you are very well aware that this is something that two different organizations, two different companies have gotten together to make happen, and that's Langmore Photography School and Digital Pro Lab. And we have both Amanda and Javi from Digital Pro Lab that are here with us this evening. Javi, can you share a little bit about what you guys do and how you're supporting the photography community?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. As always, thank you for having us here, and thank you for putting this on with us. Yeah, and so for those of you who aren't familiar with Digital Pro Lab, we are a photo lab here in town. We're actually the largest photo lab servicing the San Antonio area. My role at the lab is the client developer, and so I work with a lot of our new clients who are trying to get online, who have never printed before. Maybe some of them have printed with other labs, but I get them kind of all hooked up with our services and work with them to figure out exactly how we can cohesively work together as a unit to help grow everyone's business and provide them with the services that they need. Amanda is one of our owners. Her and her husband Ray actually just recently took ownership of the company last year. Did a really great job of really pushing the business, pushing the boundaries of what a photo lab can do for the photography community here in San Antonio. And so one of our biggest priorities this year has been to uplift the photography community. And one of the byproducts of that initiative that we've been taking has been this partnership with Langmore Photography. We're so happy to bring to you guys every Monday a free bit of advice on how to run a photography business successfully. It's probably about 80% of what you do as a photographer professionally. Obviously, we all love getting out with our cameras and capturing moments, but really to make this your full-time job, to make this what pays your bills, there's so much more that goes into it than what a 10-minute YouTube video can cover on Lightroom presets and stuff like that. And so we're extremely happy to be able to provide this content for you guys, because we want to show you how business is viable in photography, through the use of Jim's principles, through the use of printing. And so, we really just are wanting to, give this information to you guys. Like I said, after this, if you have any questions for either Amanda or I, feel free to, send us a message in chat privately, or reach out to us, by any means. And we'd love to get you guys set up in printing if you have any questions. Like I said, that's my job. That's who I work with. And so, again, we're just really happy to be here. I think towards the end, Amanda will probably expand more on this, but for everybody who is here and who is listening, we want to announce that next week at noon on Monday, we're actually going to be holding a panel discussion. So every Monday, usually it's, Jim giving, his class some kind of, I guess, material that he has pre-prepared For you guys, next week it's actually going to be a little different. We're going to change it up, and we're going to have 3 industry professionals here in San Antonio that are full-time photographers who make a successful living through photography, and who do a lot of that by offering prints to their clients. And so you're actually going to be able to ask them your questions about how to make it in this industry from a business perspective, and they'll actually be able to answer all those questions. And so I've actually made a post in the San Antonio Photography Facebook group. If you want to go over there and throw your question or questions that you may have in the comment section, you can do that. Or if you'd like, if it's easier for you, you can just shoot those questions over to me privately here in the chat. Again, that's going to be next Monday at noon. And again, it's going to be any and all questions associated to how to, become successful as a photographer in portraiture from a business perspective. And so we really hope that, some of this content can be helpful to you guys, and we can, answer some of the more nuanced questions that maybe you have at home that you wouldn't normally get to ask a professional. And so, like I said, that's going to be next Monday at noon. Please, if you can, share those questions with us over at the Facebook post in San Antonio Photography, or just message them to me here in the chat.
Cool. Thank you, Javi.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. And all that you and everyone at Digital Pro Lab does for the photography community. You guys freaking rock. Just to make sure you know, I bet you already know, but it sure feels good to hear it, huh?
Yes, indeed. Oh, and then one last thing I forgot to mention almost. Steve actually took advantage of this last week, but we're actually going to be extending. I know Steve scrambled to get this in at the last minute, last week, and I'm sure he's probably going to be a little frustrated to hear it, but we're actually going to extend the promo code that we had from last week. So for anybody who wasn't here last week, who didn't know what that promo code was, it's going to be promo code Fine Art. I'll throw it in the chat, but that's all one word, Fine Art. And that's going to be 40% off of a 20 by 30 fine art print from Digital Pro Lab. We've got quite a few different fine art papers. I believe it's 4 in total to choose from. And so you can go over there. We really thought that would be a really good, product to offer you guys a promo code on, just because, Jim is a really big advocate of selling prints here to all of his clients. And I think a lot of people want, in general, they want wall art. And I don't think that wall art is anything less than a 16 by 20 in most cases. I think that's on the smaller end, if anything. And so at 20 by 30, we figured that'd be a good opportunity for you guys to get maybe a sample, for something that you can show a client and show them exactly what's going to go on their wall. There's a saying in in-person sales, IPS, that you sell what you show. And so I think it's a really valuable opportunity to get a sample to show your clients, something, what your work looks like at that scale. And so again, I'll throw it in chat, but it's Fine Art, promo code Fine Art, and that's going to be 40% off of a 20 by 30 fine art print. And you can go to our website, digitalprolab.com, and place your order there. Or like I said, just email me if you have a question, or message me, and we'll get you all set up on that.
Fantastic. That's great. So 40% off a 20 by 30 of any of your fine art papers with the promo code Fine Art, all lowercase. Awesome. I'm glad to hear Steve took care of that, took advantage of that. Now he can do it again.
He got 2 of them, 2.
Perfect. In the chat, for those of you who are on Zoom and not on a Mac product, then you should be able to see the handout for today. It's a PDF. So you can download that, or you can just follow along with me. You don't have to have it. I definitely think that you should have a notepad and pen, though. And sometimes I go fast and sometimes I go slow. So if you think I'm going a little too fast, then you're on Zoom. You can interrupt and say whatever it is you need to say. Slow me down, hurry me up, ask some questions. It's all up to you. That's one huge advantage of being right here on the Zoom call. is that you can interact a little bit better and you can get the handout. Those of you who are watching on Facebook, I definitely appreciate you being there. Please interact there as well. It just won't be as quick. I'm not monitoring that. Javi might look at it every once in a while, but he's definitely paying attention to what's going on here. So that's the advantage of being here on the Zoom call, is being able to get those handouts each time, being able to interact with us as we go. So feel free, cut in anytime and ask questions. I definitely recommend it and encourage it. So today we're talking about building your support base. We want to identify who are your supporters, what are your resources, and what, because you have these things going for you, and in that same mindset, what are the things that are unique about you? What energizes you? What motivates you? And so we're going to identify some of these things today. Of course, it's all based in some philosophy. It's all based in what I'm feeling and thinking and what I'm seeing and what people are asking me and what I see on Facebook posts and other places. Often, friends and family are the ones that we turn to when we could use a little help. Maybe that's advice. Maybe that's just a shoulder to cry on. Maybe it's a hug. But those are the people we turn to, generally speaking, often our friends and family. Maybe we need to vent. Maybe things are tough. Maybe we there's just something that we need. But they don't know this stuff that we're doing as a photographer, as a photography business owner. They don't know photography. They don't know the business of photography. They don't know your passion. They don't know your unrelenting inner voice that drives you, that's going to keep you going. Even if you don't do this right now, it's going to come back. You're going further into this subject than you've ever done before, much further than they ever would. Much further than they even know is possible, because it's just not their thing. In this lesson, you'll learn things that make sense, but maybe you've never considered it, or maybe you have considered it, but you've never researched it and taken the time to really know it before. In your future, just as in your past, there will be detractors. People who will not believe that photography is a sustainable career path for you. You're going to speak with photographer newbies, as well as photographers who are just simply uneducated in the business of portrait photography. You'll hear them speak of how simple all this should be, or maybe they say that you're making it far too difficult. But if being a success in photography was easy and there was a quick path, then wouldn't most photographers who tried be successful? The truth is, success isn't easy. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. It puts putting yourself in situations where you are listening to those who've experienced where you want to be. Just know that overnight successes often take years. They just don't look like that on the surface. Family, friends, other people you cross paths with, they may doubt what it is that you're doing. And then you're going to find yourself doubting. You're going to doubt maybe your photography work, doubt your business, doubt your prices, maybe doubt your motives, doubt that you even have what it takes to make this work. This path, the one you've chosen, it's not easy. This path will be met with resistance from every conceivable direction. But as you know, success isn't easy. Only 5 out of every 100 photographers who ever try actually reach profitability. But you're here now. This gives me great hope. as it should you as well, that you are taking action. You are creating a path to get to your goals. You are purposefully putting yourself in line with your goals. And now we will identify your top supporters. We'll identify how to seek additional supporters. We'll identify and seek resources, and we're going to identify those things that make us unique. In my opinion, photographers rock. And that means you rock. I want you to take your pen. Maybe it says Landers Photography School. Maybe it says something else. But take your pen, and I want you to define something for me. Write it down on your notepad, or if you have this handout, there's a space for it. Define what an ideal situation means to you. If you had the power to blink, just blink your eyes and have exactly what is it that you want. No financial concerns, no health concerns, no concerns that your loved ones are facing. Everything was optimal. What would your life look like? What would your photography business be like? What would you do? Where would you do it? Who do you want to do it for? This is an ideal situation. I know that a lot of times when we start thinking about things like that, we start thinking about, well, I don't have the ability to do this, or I've only got this much amount of time, or I don't have enough budget to do that kind of thing. There's all these things, all these little things that add up to a lot. They get in our way. Those exist. Those are real. I'm not taking those away. I'm not taking them out of the equation, except for temporarily. In order to define the ideal version of you and your business, you need to pull those things out temporarily. We'll find a path to fix those things, or to at least move our way through them, navigate. But for now, define what your ideal situation is. What does that mean to you? Write it down. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Do not compare yourself to others. This is from your heart. And if it has influence from others, then it isn't just you. I want this to be the base, your starting point, so that we can define where you're going. If we define where you're going, then we can define a path to get there. If you're going to downtown San Antonio, or whatever area you live in, if you define a location, you can also plan the path to get there. But if you just hit the road and drive, you may find really good roads. You may find really cool things to see, really cool things to do. But where are you going? You have to define it. And if we're going to define where we're going when we're going on vacation, why wouldn't we define where we're going when we're defining our business? Seems a little bit more important than your next vacation. Speaking of your next vacation, I have a suggestion for you. This is a little aside, but sometimes I do announcements right at the beginning. Other times I do them when it seems to be convenient. So I'm going to share my screen with you real quick and show you one suggestion on where you could take a vacation. How about Colorado? Robin and I, along with two other photography teachers, are meeting in Durango in August. And I absolutely encourage you to at least look at the website to see if it's right for you. That website is pagosaphotoworkshops.com. Pagosaphotoworkshops.com. Take a moment, take a look, see what's there, see if that's something that you might have an interest in doing. At the very least, you'll know whether it is or isn't. So pagosaphotoworkshops.com might be your next vacation. But no matter what, you are planning what's next. You have to do this in your business in order for it to have the potential for success. There are so many photographers that are more like the inflatable flailing tube man than like people who plan. And what I mean by that is they are full of excitement, drive, motivation, passion, and that is wonderful. That is awesome about photographers. I love that. But if that passion, that dedication is not put towards what your destination is, then it might just be wasted. We've got to define where we're going, and then we have to find things that help us along that path. Years ago, I was volunteering my time with an organization that raised funds for scholarships. This organization had spent months reaching out to hundreds, maybe thousands, I don't know, of organizations, groups, companies, individuals who help in many different causes and concerns. When I joined, all the research was done. Their due diligence had been completed, and I knew nothing of it. I learned it later. We went around the city of San Antonio, visiting and learning about many and giving money to several of them over a period of about a week. I was surprised at just how many organizations there are out there whose sole purpose is to help those in need. I mean, yeah, sure, I've come across those organizations before. I see them all the time. You see them on the news. There's fundraisers. You hear about those things, but the ones you hear about are small compared to the total number that are out there. There's some that are so specific you wouldn't ever hear about them. I was impressed. I had no idea. And it made me think, man, with all this help that's out there, how is it possible that people still need help? It's kind of an eye-opener. I understand at times that we as individuals feel helpless, insecure, overwhelmed, and other not so positive feelings. But if those situations persist in our lives, there are many organizations and individuals out there that exist to help. If you feel that isn't true, then maybe you've just not yet been exposed to those right organizations or individuals. This is a simple example of ignorance, and ignorance is just the things you don't know yet. It's not a negative unless you persist with ignorance. But if you've got an opportunity to learn and to grow and to research, then take it. We don't have to remain ignorant. We can research, we can seek information. It's really easy for those of us who have access to the internet. And there are people in this world who don't. So it's much more difficult for them. But you guys are here on the Zoom call or on Facebook. That means you have access to the internet. There are lots of organizations, there are lots of individuals willing to help. Yes, I understand there's going to be some individuals, maybe you reach out for help and you don't get what you're looking for. Continue trying. Don't give up. There are people who love helping. You just haven't crossed paths with them yet, or you have just simply forgotten about them. Part of what we're going to do today is decrease the potential to forget who those helpers are, because we're going to list them. You probably know this. You may not feel it all the time, but you probably know this. We have more resources available now, right now, than any other time in human history. No matter what the subject, if you choose to do what it takes to seek it, you will likely find it. With that thought in mind, if you choose to seek supporters or other types of resources for you and your business, if you're willing to do what it takes to seek it, you are likely going to find it. Your support system, it's made up of people and resources that help you to align or realign with the path that leads you to your goals. So let's talk about identifying your supporters. Supporters are individuals who give genuine feedback that is in your best interest. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to feel positive about it, but it is in your best interest. Although everything that can be should be a win-win, the support that's given by your supporters is given freely. It is not self-serving. If it has a side effect of helping them out too, wonderful. Their impact on your long-term goals is positive, even though it may not feel positive when you initially receive it. They can be members of the community, the barista, someone at the gym, mentors, clergy, an old teacher, or anything that leads to a positive influence in your life. Make sure you're paying attention to those words, that leads to a positive influence. There are many times when someone's trying to help and you don't receive it as help, you see it as being pushy or that they don't understand you. It's quite possible that you're the one who has misunderstood. It's quite possible that they're the ones who misunderstood. But your supporters are made up of people who can help, even if you don't know them yet. I want you to brainstorm, and I want you to make a list. List those who seem to genuinely care about you. These may be family, these may be friends, acquaintances, coworkers. Also list where you know them from. What's the context in which you know them? These are going to be people who seem to care, who are honest with you, who try to understand you. These people genuinely will listen to you, and people who will hold you accountable. Now, if you have the handout, I'm hoping that you really overfill the space and you need extra paper. That's really just there as an illustration. It's not meant that once you fill out that list space that I gave you, that you're done. It doesn't mean that at all. But your supporters are there for you. They may be someone who you're seeing, who you don't have access to yet, but that you might be able to reach out to. They're people who you cross paths with, either daily or maybe not very often at all. But think about the things that you do during the day, during the week, things that you do occasionally. What are the people that you come in contact with? There's lots of times when you feel like someone was very helpful. It could be something that you may not list here. Now, I mentioned barista. You may not need your barista on this list. But occasionally, I do ask for advice for someone who I don't know that I'll ever see again. I'll just ask an opinion, maybe, out of curiosity. But that could be beneficial. I may not list that on my supporters list, but I think you get it. A word about your support system. They're only effective if you use them, and those people feel appreciated. Which brings me to the next thing I want you to do, and that's create an appreciation log. I want you to write down the things you appreciate. People help people all the time. Maybe not the way you want them to always. Maybe not the way you think that they should. But there are so many who help in their own way. Just because you don't perceive something as help does not mean help wasn't given. Listen and observe with the intent to understand their point of view, not your point of view. You already know that one. So not self, but them. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to help themselves? Are they trying to help you? Is it a win-win situation? By the way, I've come across people who think that if it helps both parties, then they aren't trying to be helpful. They're trying to help themselves. Come on. If it's beneficial to both, it's a win-win. That is the ultimate in support. When the support that someone is giving you also helps them, don't you want them to feel helped by you also? Don't you want to give your help to others? So don't let win-wins bother you. I'm probably speaking to the choir on that one, but I have come across people with that attitude, that if it helps them, then it is not in the help category. That in order for it to be in the help category, it must be selfless, meaning there is no benefit to you whatsoever. Well, guess what? Even if there's no direct benefit, there is a benefit no matter what. It makes them feel good. When you help someone else and they genuinely feel it, doesn't that make you feel good? Therefore, you got a positive out of it. I lost my place. There we go. If from their point of view, they are sincerely trying to help, then help is what it is they're doing, despite whether it seemed to help. Now, there are those out there with mean or malicious intent. Obviously, I'm not talking about that. When someone attempts to help, take notice, because they are the kind of people that you want in your world. You want more of that. Acknowledge them, appreciate them, keep track, write it all down. Write down all the things you're thankful for, the things that fit the description of supportive in any way of you or your business. For most of us, it's one and the same. This way you will see how much you're appreciated. We all forget. There have been times where I have talked to someone a second time after many years have passed. They were very helpful the first time around. Excuse me, I was very helpful to them, and they shared that they felt like I was very helpful to them the first time around. And then years later, when we crossed paths again, it was like they didn't remember who I was. Now, I'm not bothered by that. I understand that people forget. I forget things too. This is the reason, however, that I want you to write it down. You're less likely to forget when you write it down. Over a short period of time, you will begin to notice that you have been given lots of help in your life, lots of things to be thankful for. By the way, this is an opportunity. If any of you who are on the chat, or excuse me, on Zoom call right now, have received something, help in any way, something that you're grateful for, I'd like for you to share it right now. I bet you within the last week, someone has done something for you. It may just be a simple thanking you for something that you did, acknowledgement, but it helped you, it lifted you. It may be a hug when you needed it. It doesn't have to be business related. These are just supporters. Has anyone done something kind for you in the last week? Has anybody given their time? Words of support, wisdom? encouragement. Thank you, Amanda. I would assume there's not a single one of you that can't say that. Now, unless you're not around anyone else. And in these days of COVID, that could possibly be the case. But for the most of us, there is some interaction. There is some communication with others. There are paths that are crossed, even though they may be less than they were at one point. All right, I gave you an opportunity to share. I guess you didn't want to. But hopefully you're thinking about it. That's at least what I want to happen. I want you to be thinking about these things. Now, this list, I want it to be things that you can think about right now that has passed, but I want this to be an ongoing list. Keep it close to you. You're going to find that this list gets huge and pretty quickly if you are constantly and consciously thinking about it. There are all types of examples of something that has been beneficial that one person gave to you. There's times when they don't think of it as much of a big deal at all. That doesn't matter. The fact is they did. Write it down. Now, you'll notice on this list that I have name, date, describe what it was that they did, and then a list for a thank you note. If it is something that rises to that level, then I think that that you should write them a thank you note. It could just be a simple email showing that appreciation. But when you show that you appreciated something, that person feels good about it. They like that you noticed. I guarantee you there have been things that you've done for others and there's been zero acknowledgement. Now, it doesn't make you wish you hadn't done it, doesn't make you regret it. You're still glad that you did it. But it seems odd that they didn't comment on it. Don't be that guy. Show appreciation. Thanks, Steve. I'm reading your chat message. This list gets huge, and it is something that you can look back on. Denise, are you on an Apple product? That's why you don't see it. Yeah, sorry. If you'll put your email in the chat, Javi, would you be able to forward it to her?
Yeah, I can do that.
And if you don't want to put your email in the,
okay. I can do that. I don't mind.
Okay, cool. Anyone else? I don't know why Apple does that. I think it's a security issue. I'm guessing. I really haven't researched why Apple products don't receive the downloads. So whether that's an image or a PDF or a doc, it just doesn't allow it to go through for some reason. All right, so these kind things that people have done, these kind things that we do, when we do something kind, we're not doing it for the purpose of acknowledgement. I mean, I guess if you're a politician, that might be helpful. But for the most part, we are doing this because we feel it's beneficial to the other person. Even if it takes our time, even if we have to sacrifice a little bit. Now, we can't sacrifice everything because what's that saying? You can't give from an empty cup. So if someone's got an empty cup and you've got a full cup, you can share it with them until yours is empty, and then you can't share anymore. So we do to the point where we can. And it is really cool to get acknowledgement. But I don't think those who give help are going to stop helping others because there's no acknowledgement. Now, over a period of time, it may start feeling like that person is annoyed by you and they're not saying anything for that purpose. So tell someone, when someone is kind to you, tell them you appreciate it. Even if they say, oh man, I just did that. I wasn't even thinking that. It's not that big a deal. So what? Big deal, small deal. pull that out of your thought, the way you're thinking right now altogether. If they did something, helping you, spent some time, wrote something down, gave you a lead, told you about a person they thought that might be helpful, saw an article online and they shared it with you, whatever it is, show appreciation for these things. Write them down and remember them. I told Ryan, my oldest, to do that a while back. He hasn't started doing it. But I told him, everything in your life, when someone does something kind for you, write it down, make a list. Those times when you're feeling down, like nobody cares, if you have created this list, you will absolutely know that people do care about you. There's a lot of people who care about you right now, and you're not aware of it. There's been nothing that caused them or gave them a need to share it with you. You know, when you go to Facebook and someone asks for thoughts and prayers about a situation that they're going through, you're going to get some people who say sending prayers or done or did that, or they're going to like it. But there's a whole lot more that don't do anything. They don't acknowledge, they do think about you. I'm not saying anything as far as they're not doing anything that would cause you to know it. Sorry, I need to be more clear with that. They are showing appreciation. They are supporting you. They may not do anything that causes you to know it. So when they do, write it down and acknowledge it. Tell them thank you. They'll repeat it. How do you guys feel about that? Does it feel good to be acknowledged when you do something kind? Yeah. So I want you to acknowledge it when it happens to you. So that was the appreciation log that we just talked about. And you're writing down the name, you're writing down the date, you're writing down how they helped you, and you're just making this long list. This list is going to be massive, so get yourself a big notepad or I guess maybe just white paper or ruled paper like you had in college and high school, whatever you want to write it down on. Expect this to get huge over the years because you're loved. You are appreciated. Next, I want you to identify your resources. I want you to brainstorm it first. I don't want you organizing this yet. Don't critique yourself. No, just a mental download of resources. Now, let's define what that means. Everything that is not a person that's beneficial to you, your growth, your well-being. So this could include companies like labs, like, Digital Pro Lab. Yep. Gear, just different companies that I have someone that helps me out with my artwork, well, retouching, I call it artwork. And I have someone do my base artwork. So this would be on my resource list because I'm going to pay them to do it. Anything that's helping me in my path. Now, here's a good way to think about that. What are all the different things that you do? What are all the steps that you take? And it could be, what steps am I going to take? Because I know that there are some photographers that when they're starting out, try shooting and burning and posting and praying, but then they move into actually helping their client through the entire process. So it may be something that you do later, but think about the entire process. What is it that you want to do? An ideal version of what you want to do. What are all the steps you're going to take? What companies and other resources will you need in order to make those things happen? Websites, books, how about clubs and organizations? There's the Photo Essay Camera Club that meets on the second Thursday of every single month. It's like a mini commercial right now I'm going to share with you. The San Antonio Photography Meetup Club called Photo SA. This coming Thursday is the second Thursday, and we're going to have, it's a Zoom call, just like we're doing right now. It will be simulcast to the Photo Essay page, just like this is right now. And it's called How I Found My Passion for Photography by a local photographer named Jason Carmody. And he's going to be sharing exactly that, what the title is, How I Found My Passion. He had been interested in photography a long time, thought he was passionate about it, but then something actually changed. And it's something that can change in you. Or at least you get to see something from a different point of view. Like Suzanne mentioned before, I appreciate that. We want to see things from different points of view, especially those that we don't necessarily agree with right now. This is beneficial to you. So he's going to be, and you can see in the description here, join impassioned photographer Jason Carmody share how finding his niche and specializing has helped him stay focused and remain passionate in photography. So that is this Thursday. That's May 13th at 6:30 to 8 p.m. The exact same time of what it is we're doing right now. And by the way, we have a class that's going on at that exact same time. So I'm not teaching that particular class. One of our other teachers is doing that here at Langmore Photography School, and his name's Jim Vinegar. He's a master photographer. There are very few masters. I think there's 16 in San Antonio. I could be wrong, but there's approximately 100,000 photographers in San Antonio, and only 16 are masters. One of them is one of our teachers. He's going to be teaching a class on seeing the light, and that's just becoming an expert using ambient lighting. No flash, nothing artificial. Now, he does believe in using reflectors. Now, he believes in artificial lighting, but this class is only about ambient lighting, and that starts at 6 on Thursday, and you'd have to go to landersphotoschool.com in order to see information on that. But this coming up on Thursday is Jason Carmody, local photographer, who's actually one of my teachers. He's going to be talking about how he found his passion for photography. And to get more information on that, just go to meetup.com/photo essay. And I will put that in the chat real quick. To everybody, there we go. So you know where to find it. Meetup.com/photo essay. And again, the Photo Essay Camera Club has been around since 2006, and it's again meets right now online. It used to always be in person on the second Thursday of every single month. We've never missed a single month since we began in January of 2006. So a very consistent club, and I recommend that you have something, a club or something that that you can join, something that you can find benefit from. I recommend something that's local, maybe something that's statewide also, and then something that's national, like the WPPI or the one I'm involved with, PPA, Professional Photographers of America. Certain advantages to that. I can share more with you about that in the future. But these are wonderful resources. Clubs and organizations are wonderful resources, and I think you should add these things to the list. Now, this may be something that you do in the future, may not be something you do now, but something to consider at the very least. So I think you should add marketing sources. There's just a lot of things that you could add to this resource list. Think of, again, I mentioned this before, but think about every step you make, not just with the client, but especially including the client, but every step. What are the things that you're going to have to do in order to make a business work? There's a lot of variables, you know that. But write down all the resources, every single one of them. By the way, my resource list is 2 pages long, and it's in very small text. And I have the business or individual's name, how I can contact them, whether that's by phone, email, website, login information, username and password I have on there too, so I don't want that getting out. And any additional information that I need. But this is a resource list where I can find things, because there are times when I use a resource very rarely. Maybe no more than 10 times I have needed 3D rendering for a photograph. I don't know anything about 3D rendering. And I know someone who does it because I've hired them 10, 12 times to do this, but I do it so rarely that I would forget. I don't want you to forget your resources. I want you to write them down. Every single time you come across a new resource, you're going to add to this list. And I definitely recommend that after you're done with it, you organize it. Right now, you're just doing it as a brainstorm. Write down those names, whether that's individual or company. Write down those names. Describe what it is that they do, and somehow, however it is that you can connect. So a phone number, email, whatever it is, however it is that you connect. By the way, I just realized if you have the handout, that third line isn't there, so you'll need to add it. How to contact them. That's identifying your resources. So again, once you have identified those resources, and I don't know that list is ever done, but once you've identified that list, then go back and organize it. Make it something that you can find things easily. Any thoughts on that before I move on? You guys are too easy. Either that or I'm not waiting long enough for you to respond and I move on before you get a chance to say anything. One of the two is happening. All right, so the next thing is motivations, loves, and unique factors. Now that we're thinking about all the things that you have that help you out, both the supporters and your resources, I think your mind is open for this next step. It may seem unrelated because it is slightly, but when you're thinking about all these things that help you do what it is that you need to do, I think it's uplifting. I think it benefits you. I think it causes you to see that you can do this. So therefore, I think it's a good time to brainstorm on the things that make you unique. Now, not a dictionary definition of unique. I don't mean that. I mean a creative's version. What kind of activities, well, back that up. What motivates you? What do you love to do? What would you do even if you were tired because you love to do it so much? What would you do for free? Even though there's things that I would create photographs for free. I would teach for free, and I guess I am right now. But I would do these things for free. But I have to have income, just like you guys. I mean, I'm sure you enjoy having a roof. I'm sure you enjoy having a car. I'm sure that you like eating. And I bet a whole lot of other things. Somehow we have to pay for that stuff. So we have to bring in income. Of course we do. But what is it what would you do for free? What is the thing that motivates you? What are the things that energize you? What are your motivations? What are your loves? And then by moving into the next thing, what are the things that are unique about you? But I also think it's a good idea to consider those things that are the opposite also, because knowing what to avoid is a good thing. So what would you want to avoid? Those kinds of activities or people that drain you. We all have that. There are individuals who drain us. We need to define why they drain us. And there may be only a specific thing about them. Everything else may be just fine. But what are those specific things? These are like the caution signs when we're driving on the road. These are like potholes that have no sign at all. You know to avoid them the moment you see them. Hopefully you see them. But just like in business, just like in driving, there's times where you don't see them. You're going to come across those who drain you by accident sometimes. But if by design you could do a really good job of avoiding them, that's just plain smart. I want you to know something. You know this on a base level, but there's times you just need to hear it. You are exactly, as a photographer, as a person, I am leaning definitely towards the business side of photography, but as a person too, you are exactly what people need. Not everybody, but you don't have time for everybody. We don't need to be a people pleaser. Those of us who are, it can be very time consuming and very overwhelming. We need to define who we are, what we enjoy, what motivates us, what energizes us. So that while we're doing that people pleasing that we can't seem to stop or slow down even, that at least we're doing it with things that help us in the direction that we want to go anyway. You are exactly what many people need. They just need to know what it is that you are so that they can choose you and you can choose them. We are all just tools at a tool store. We as photographers, we're all just tools at a tool store. Our responsibility to ourselves and to our prospects is to define what kind of tool we are so that our clients can make a decision that is best for them. And in turn, you need to make sure that they are right for you. Just because someone wants the tool that you are as a photographer does not make them the right tool for you. Just because somebody likes you, does that mean you need to like them back? It means you need to at least be nice, I think, most of the time. But no, it doesn't mean you have to like them back. There are people who you've crossed paths with who want to spend more time with you, and you know that's not beneficial to you. As a photographer, you are a tool to help them get what it is that they want. Now, they may not know exactly what it is that they want. That's where your expertise comes in, to help them find what it is that they want. But nonetheless, you are still a tool to help them get what they want. If they don't need an end result, then they don't need you as a tool to help them get there. So define who you are so they can make an educated decision. Know who it is that you want so you wind up with the people who energize you and you reduce the number who drain you. You know, a great client can raise your energy level, lift your spirits. You know, one single bad one could actually end your career. They are also tools to help you get what you want. Define what it is that you want. When you seek it, you give yourself the potential to find it. If you fail to define it, how will you know when you've gotten there? How will you know that you've gotten what it is that you want? Looks like we're finishing just a little bit early. I want you to thank you for staying with me to the end. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and I am looking forward to watching you grow. Before we close, of course, I want to have Amanda or Javi come back on and share a little bit about what they're doing to remind us about the cool deal that they have for us, because they love us. They love you. Amanda, can you, or Javi, can you share a little bit of, again, about who you are and what you're doing, all that kind of fun stuff?
Yeah, so I'll go over it real quick. So Hobby has extended our sale. It's 40% off 20 by 30 fine art papers. We have 4 that we offer. All 4 of them are Hahnemuhle papers. So the promo code for that is going to be fine art, all lowercase, fine art, that you can go to any of our ordering systems that are available through digitalprolab.com. and just plug in that promo code at checkout on any of our 20 by 30 fine art paper options to get 40% off now through Sunday, I believe. Thumbs up, Javi. I think that's the date that we did. Next Sunday. So you've got another 7 days to go ahead and take advantage of that. And Jim, thank you again for another wonderful Portrait Profits. I know I don't always get to enjoy them, but I definitely hear them, in my office sometimes when Javi has them going. You are an amazing resource to our photography community. So hopefully everybody will give you a thumbs up today for all of your time that you dedicate for free as a resource to the San Antonio community. And we are more than happy to partner with you in doing something like this because we too want to be a resource in San Antonio. Digital Pro Lab has always been here and has always been focused on the San Antonio photography community, San Antonio community in general. I'm born and raised here in San Antonio. I know what San Antonio means to me. I know we have a rich history. I have a degree in history. And if you don't know how important photographs are, printed photographs as artifacts, then I would love for you to come in and talk to me, talk to Javi, talk to all of our staff. We don't only cater to professional photographers, we cater again to the community of San Antonio. And we have been privileged enough to see some amazing artifacts shared with us that are stories, footprints in people's timelines to pass on to the generations that are coming after them. We still do film developing. We are the last photo lab here in San Antonio and the surrounding area of South Texas that is still developing film in-house. So keep that in mind if you're trying to do any branching out from digital photography, or you still have a heart for film photography, we cater to that community. We also do photo restoration, which is another big and important part of what our community needs for some of those deteriorating photos. I know Jim said that he uses some resources out there to do some of his retouching and stuff. Digital Pro Lab also offers that service. So know that you have that as a resource to you as well. If you ever need photo retouching, whether it's to repair old photos, or to do any, retouching of skin or anything like that. We do several different types of printing. We do silver halide printing. We do giclée printing. We scan old negatives. We scan photographic prints with an eye for copyright. If you were on Jim's last session, we are a lab that knows the difference between professional quality photos and those that are not, and we uphold copyright. So any of your clients that come in and bring your photo into our lab, we will turn around and require them to go back to you, especially if you are adding that copyright to your back printing, which if you're doing any of our silver halide prints, that back printing is present there for you to utilize and take advantage, because if you're selling photographic prints, you want to continue to sell them and not have those clients of yours go to Walmart or anywhere else and just copy it and not be able to make additional income from the photo that you worked hard to produce for them. We've brought framing on, so we're also a framing resource to you. I know we just recently did a large commercial job where we did a wall mural and took a low resolution photo, created artwork out of it, and made a 13-foot tall wall mural. We at Digital Pro Lab, I know me in particular, and I'm training all of my staff as well, we embrace challenges with optimism, and I really encourage you to do the same. Don't tell your clients no if there's a way that you can figure out to say yes. Like you, we aim to be full service, which means that when somebody brings something to us and we're not sure how to do it, we're going to brainstorm with you and we're going to figure it out. Same thing with y'all. We are very open to communicating with you. I'm one of the only, there's other lab owners in town that are easy to get in touch with. but I too am very, very easy to get in touch with. My husband is very easy to get in touch with, whether it's social media or just step into the lab, ask for Amanda, and I'll come out and I'll meet you. And I love to talk to all of our clients, even if you're not our clients and you need marketing help. I have been in this business for upwards of 20 years now. And if anybody knows how to sell prints, I can tell you I know how to sell prints and I know how to market selling prints. You are more than welcome to come and pick my brain, whether it's on social media or come into the lab. Again, we're a resource for that. My husband's there as well as a resource for a lot of things as well. If you don't understand what the giclée prints are, come in. I will show you. I will give you a sample. I will encourage you to test different types of papers. And we'll work with you every single step of the way, because that's the kind of resource that we aim to be. We hired Javi recently because we knew that Amanda could not do everything all on her own, even with Ray helping, even with our customer service staff. We needed an individual that was going to specialize in helping to develop our photographers so that they could have successful businesses. That's why we brought Javi on. He is the director of client development, and he is doing this because he wants to help you, because that's what we as a lab want to do for you. So I hope that on your list of resources that you name Digital Pro Lab as a resource, and you put Javi or Amanda on there, and you put this phone number in, 210-377-3686. That is our phone number to get a hold of us. You call and you ask for Amanda, you ask for Javi, and we will answer the phone or we'll set an appointment to sit down with you and encourage you every single step of the way. And if we don't know how to do it, then we're going to partner you with somebody that absolutely knows how to do what you're trying to do. Okay? Because that's the resource that we are at Digital Pro Lab. That's the company that I want to be, because as Jim asked earlier, for all of you to kind of figure out what you really want to do, and what you want to get out of your business and what you want to get out of doing in general. I've always wanted to help people. That's what I wanted to do. And I absolutely am doing that through this, whether it's helping individuals preserve their memories, whether it's helping build photography businesses, whether it's helping other businesses. I know we've been privileged enough throughout, COVID to help businesses that were really, really suffering, that were not in the photography industry, but other industry, restaurants or karate studios, things like that, help them get off the ground during a very tough time. That's what we're here for. And that's what we're going to continue to be here for, because that's what I, Amanda, as the owner of this company, aim to do. So hopefully now you know me, and you know what I want to do. And hopefully you'll see that hopefully will align with some of the things that you want to do, and you'll reach out to me whenever you need to. So thank y'all so much for letting me take up a lot of your time.
That's fantastic. That's the reason that you guys, that's the reason why I say that Amanda rocks and Digital Pro Lab rocks all the time. Those of you who are in my classes, you hear me say that all the time. And of course, Javi and Amanda don't hear me say that, but I hope that they know that that's how I feel about them. I think they do. So, yeah. So, thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for the kind comments here in the chat. Steve and Natalie and Suzanne, I appreciate all those comments in the chat. And yeah, I do look over at it. If there were too many of them, I wouldn't be able to keep up, but it's perfect. So next week we're going to be having the 3 Pro panel. we're going to be, there's going to be questions. They're going to be answering those questions. You're going to hear multiple different points of view. Like Suzanne Pack mentioned before, she likes to hear different points of view. And I bet all of you like to hear different points of view. It is beneficial to hear them. But when you've got a question and all three of them get to answer that same question, and there's no holding back, they can say whatever they want to say. We're not going to curb. Okay, if they get mean, I might curb them. I have the ability to mute them if I want to, but it's not going to happen. These guys are amazing. So you're going to hear three different points of view, and they may contradict each other, but they've all found a way to make things work. And the reason is because there's lots of tools in the tool store. You walk past quite a few good ones. That doesn't make them bad. They're still good. They're just not the ones that you need right now. So come next week at noon on Monday and hear three different pros' opinions about what it is that they do and how they're making it work for their situation. And then you glean from them whatever it is that's going to be best in yours. So I definitely encourage you to be here. Put it on your calendar right now. And you know what? If you believe in uplifting the photography community, like Suzanne and Javi and myself do, then share this with others. Share it on your social media. Share it with other photographers that you know. There's a lot, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot of photographers that could benefit from this time that we're spending here together today, and that we have in the past and that we continue to in the future. Any last thoughts, Amanda or Javi, before I close out this episode?
Yeah, I'd like to share who the photographers are going to be actually.
Ooh,
so cool. The first photographer that's going to be on the panel with us next Monday is Hayward Godet of Hayward Godet Photography. He has his own studio here in San Antonio and has, along with his wife, for several years. He's incredibly successful, and I really think he's got a lot to share. When I shared with him the general idea of Portrait Profits and what we were encouraging through Portrait Profits, he was 100% on board and ready to answer any and all of your questions on how he sells prints, the language he uses. He specializes in selling fine art, family portraits and portraiture. And is, again, very successful at it. So he's excited to share that with you. Another one is Jeremiah Adkins of Jeremiah Atkins Photography. He is relatively new to the photography community and is 100% eager to learn. And we chose him not because he is at the height of his success yet, but he is absolutely well on his way and is already more than half the way where he needs to be. And he is already doing quite a bit with social media that we think is very innovative. He's hungry. He's constantly educating himself. He understands the power of the printed photo. And he absolutely says you do not sell what you do not show. And he has several of his images on his wall in his studio. So when he's doing studio portraiture, that conversation is coming up and he is selling prints that way. He is still also doing some digital providing digital images. So he is still trying to make some of the transitions that many of y'all are also trying to make. So I thought he would be a really good individual to talk so that you can get some ideas of how he's going to be transitioning over to doing prints as well. And then the last photographer who I'm really excited about as well is Marie Langmore of Langmore Photography. So Langmore Photography was a family of photographers, started with her mother and then her brother Will, as well as herself. And they are one of the most well-known photography companies here in San Antonio. And she's amazing. Their family was amazing. And the images that they're able to create are absolutely one of a kind. They've set themselves apart in the San Antonio photography community and continue to be successful in this next generation of photographers after the mom. So I think that's going to be a really great a great speaker as well, for y'all to just ask questions about.
Cool. Man, those are awesome. Those you've done a good job putting those guys together. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, looking forward to that. All right. You guys have that on your calendar? That's next Monday at noon. Next Monday at noon. Good. All right. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, this is Jim Landers bringing you the weekly Portrait Profit Show, giving you evolving content, awareness, and even fun to the business side of photography. We provide helpful information, step-by-step processes, how-to articles, and action steps that will help you with the struggles you deal with now so that you are constantly realigned to the path that leads you to the success you deserve. Thank you for being here and see you next week. Bye-bye.